What's up? What's up? Welcome to another market recap. Today is October 8th, 2025. So I had one trade last night on Aussie CAD, and we'll get into it here in a minute. The rest of my watch list pretty much went to crap. I mean, I'm still watching yens, but they're whatever. Primarily, I was watching Kiwi CAD, Aussie CAD. Kiwi CAD had rate announcement news that came out that completely destroyed the setup. I pushed it in the direction we expected it to go, but it didn't give a pullback before that news came out to be able to take the trade. And that was the same for pretty much both of these Kiwis. Pound CAD, we were watching for a potential re-entry on this kind of pullback here, but never really got it. And price just continued to push. So this trade would have worked out if you were able to take it, late in the day prior, around 12, 1 o'clock. So just a few hours before market rollover. And then Euro CAD, I was watching for a potential kind of wave 4 play off this 200 EMA and S1. But price just really blew through the level. So since it didn't respect it, decelerate there to be able to give me a reversal, just ignored this pair. And then dollar NOK never pulled back and just continued to push. So I did pull back, but later into the day after it had already hit our target. So, which really only left this Aussie CAD still on watch. I mean, at the start of the day yesterday, it had a kind of a mellow break here on your 4 hour. Had one, but it was whatever. And as well as it had a decent break here on your 1 hour, but it's whatever. Typically, I don't like to take trades if they've already bounced off of S1 or R1 in the day, because that's usually my target. But the pivot levels on this don't necessarily line up perfectly with the EMAs and the price action. So I just kind of looked past that. I also typically don't take trades during New York when it comes to day trading. Most of them are during Asia and London. So this was later into the session for me. But it's still a valid trade. If you remove the kind of pivot from the equation, which I think we could hide it real quick. If you remove the pivot from the equation, I mean, it's still a nice kind of wave 1 break, wave 2 pullback, playing a wave 3. And it lines up better now on the 4 hour. Daily still looks good. So everything with the trade still looked good to go. So I gave it a shot. Nice kind of push up here on your 10-minute time frame. Granted, the level didn't really line up perfectly with the 10-minute 200 EMA anymore. But it did get a bounce off of the 1 hour 250 EMAs. And entered on a 30-second break. On this 30-second break right here of trend. Good entry. I liked it. Price, quickly fell from there. Originally, I didn't have this trend line drawn in. I was more so managing off this 2-minute trend, and I had a really clean break, strong break of that 2-minute trend. So the way I am looking at this point is, if price is to retrace, it's going to do one or two things. It's either going to give a right shoulder, so a head and shoulders pattern on a 2-minute and a lower low, and then continue, or it retraces and it, tries to test this high area. But if it breaks that, it's likely going into a wave 5 or so on my 10-minute, which is going to break all of the 1 hour EMAs. And pretty much the only thing I'm going to have protecting me at that point from a stop protection wise is 0.5 fib and maybe some horizontal support in this area. But I managed this a little bit aggressively. I mean, the 10-minute EMA was way down here, right? So on the break of this 2-minute trend, I went to P1, which essentially is to clip the most recent high, and removed the majority of the risk from the position for me. And then price just had a slow retracement until it eventually took me out. Now, right now, it's sort of kind of looking like a the completion of this like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5 on a 10-minute. So there's a potential I could have choked this trade just a little bit. And it also sort of kind of a double topish at the moment as well. So I think this trade is still valid at the moment. And if it gives me another opportunity to take it short, I'll entertain it. I probably will take another shot at it because everything else still looks good. So either way, that was my session. I'm going to go build my watch list for the coming session, and I'll catch you guys here in a minute. All right, and we're back. So I have a rather small watch list for this upcoming session. Really just one group, Swiss group, CAD Swiss, Kiwi Swiss, Euro Swiss. The primary pair being this CAD Swiss. We've been watching it now for, I don't know, pretty good little while, a week or two or so, as it's decelerated kind of at this level. We finally got a nice kind of breakup here on your 1 hour time frame. So as well as a nice clean 4 hour, clean 1 hour, decent 10-minute, good daily. Honestly, I don't have an issue with this setup other than it's pushed a little high. So I would have preferred it to maybe kind of stop around here and then give us a pullback to retest the EMAs and whatnot and go long from there. Even if we got a pullback now, I think the trade's still valid. There's still plenty of room to move. It hasn't hit the 4 hour 200 yet. Still plenty of room to move on your daily time frame to the daily 50, as well as the previous high right here, which you can see on your 4 hour time frame. So if it pulls back, there's a clear runway essentially to our target. The pivot levels don't line up quite perfectly. Realistically, need to pull back a little bit past the pivot level to about 0.382. And my fib level is drawn from the high and the low based off of the 4 hour time frame, because this is a really clean 4 hour IBO. Like really clean 4 hour IBO. And it's either going to be a 1 hour CBO and like bounce off of the 50 around 0.382, or it'll be a 1 hour kind of ACB. Just have to see what it looks like when it starts to pull back. But right now it looks like a 4 hour IBO, a 1 hour CBO, and then a 10-minute ACB, right? But this has been trending for a little while here on your 10 minutes, so it could be a full out trend change and a wave 5 before a pullback. So we'll see what happens here. But I think it's the nicest option we have. And if it pulls back to value and gives us a solid entry, I'll have no issue taking this. Another option is Kiwi Swiss. So really kind of shallow break here, not super good or anything. Would prefer it to push a little bit more. But it did have that Kiwi kind of rate announcement news that came out and pushed this thing down. And then, Swiss weakness came in and pushed this back up. So without this Kiwi bit in here, and just from a Swiss weakness perspective, the price action would have been pretty decent up here for a pullback and a follow through. So we'll see. It's all right, kind of like daily setup. It's in no man's land when it comes to support. I mean, we're at all-time lows. So based off of 1 hour kind of horizontal support, you do have some support in the pullback area with this previous low here, tested there, high there, low and high in this area. So this level's been respected recently multiple times. So I'm kind of anticipating price to come back and bounce off of that level. The fib levels don't line up perfectly with it, unfortunately. That kind of makes this a B tier setup. It doesn't have a solid breakout. Like it's a break, but not like a nice strong kind of, it is a strong break, but obviously it's retracing all of this breakdown here. So if you remove that bit and you had that same price action from this point forward, it would look really good. So, but I think it's an option. See what it looks like when it pulls back. 10-minute time frame is pretty clean, right? Nice, just clean kind of wave 1 wave 2 pull, play wave 3. So similar concept to CAD Swiss. It's essentially a 1 hour CBO, 4 hour IBO, and 10-minute ACB. And then we have Euro Swiss, which is probably like third for me. Like the 1 hour is decent, besides this kind of choppiness here, but this pair is just kind of choppy. But you have like a clean break. You could get a retest down here and then a follow through. The only problem is the 4 hour time frame. You've got that 50 EMA in the way, and it's almost kind of bouncing off of that 50 EMA. I don't think it's quite touched it yet, but I mean, it's gotten pretty close. So you don't have a super great daily like you do on CAD Swiss, or honestly, Kiwi Swiss is an okay daily as well. Euro Swiss is just a lot of sideways chop. So it's whatever. So daily's not as great. 4 hour kind of has a little negative. Like you could say this is an advanced continuation and continues short from here. But it is an IBO, so it's possible you could play a quick long back up to the 4 hour 50. I like it more if it didn't have this kind of weird 10-minute price action right here. And then, of course, I'll be watching Aussie CAD for a potential re-entry into this trade. Like I said, trade's still valid. Setup's still there. 4 hour still looks good. 1 hour still looks all right. 10-minute time frame looks okay. It gapped down on market rollover, but if you remove all of this, if you had this same break, an hour from now, this would look fantastic, but you kind of have to ignore it since it is market rollover and spreads are a little ridiculous. So yeah, but you could also say on a daily time frame, this is a low test. But I don't know, the 4 hour, 1 hour don't really confirm a bullish move at the moment. So we'll see what happens. Obviously still got all these yens on watch. One day they'll decelerate and reverse and give some setups. And then still watching dollar CAD development wise. Never really got a breakdown yesterday, but it's still lining up to be a pretty solid trade when it does break down. Be a nice kind of CBO in your 1 hour, IBO 4 hour situation. Should be good. See what happens. And then watching these Huff pairs for kind of weekly setups, but they're not as clean anymore. Dollar Huff is probably the cleanest, but it still needs a decent sized pullback here. But the problem is it is bouncing off the daily 50, so I don't know. And then watching dollar Swiss. I mean, I almost put this dollar Swiss with these other pairs, and I think you potentially could. But I'm looking at this more so from like a weekly perspective. So I don't know if it's really going to pull back with the other ones, but it's possible. Right, but I'm looking at this as a kind of a wave 3 CBO on your 4 hour layout, your weekly right here. But it needs a little bit of a better push on this 4 hour time frame so that you get a nicer break on your daily before that pullback. So if these Swisses don't pull back tonight and this just continues to push, then come next week, this will be a decent kind of 4 hour CBO, 1 hour ACB, daily IBO. So it'll be a decent swing trade, I think. So just watching it, see what happens. Preferably, I'd like this CAD Swiss to pull back, be a pretty clean, solid trade. Anyways, that's my watch list, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. See ya.